Welcome to section 31, episode number 327. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I am Rogue Schindler.
uh, so, we actually had a 1E tournament for the first time in a while, and both of us played in it. So, we're going to talk about that today.
That's amazing. Not only was there an event, not only did one of us go, both of us went.
Both of us went undefeated in the event.
That's right. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
we just didn't get to play.
Yeah, so there were 4 people that showed up originally. I had business to attend to in the morning, so I couldn't make it on time for the what was it, 1 o'clock start, I think.
Yes.
And so Matt jumped in and played in the first round so that you'd have 4 players, and then I jumped in. I got there not long after you guys started, I guess, but maybe 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour or so. Matt left, and I jumped in, so I got to play against Charlie, and I got to play against Johnny, and that was the end of the tournament. So since you had played Matt in the first round, that means that I pretty much couldn't play you as
right, because if you and I played, then Matt and Johnny would have to play. Charlie and Johnny would have to play again, which they had already played in the first round. So
yeah.
And bad luck for us, but that means that we got to play everybody else, so we know everything that happened.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, since I got there late, I did not get a bye. I got a missed game.
Okay. I was wondering how that was going to work, because I think you got both full wins, right?
I did. So had I gotten a bye in the first round, I would have had 9 victory points to your, 12 victory points to your 11. Right?
Yeah.
Because you got a timed win in the last round?
I did. Johnny held me off pretty far. I made some bad decisions, and he had some good cards. We went down to the wire. It was interesting because we had been talking between rounds about the various things going on in 1E, and one of the things he had discussed was not really having any idea how a particular affiliation worked, which was, as it turned out, what I was playing. So okay. I got to sort of walk him through it, which I had spent the week learning how to play. Is it Through the Looking Glass? The TOS Mirror Universe. So straight AU, Terran Empire, much less complicated as far as mirror decks tend to go, but it was pretty fast, and I had a really good time playing it. I resisted most of the urges to add stuff or change stuff. As you know, I very nearly increased the deck by like 25%. And I'm like, nope. And part of that is your fault, because I almost threw in that new time location and the Defiant.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like,
by looking at it, right? You see somebody's deck you like, the first thing you do is usually add a couple more themes, right?
This is so cool. What would be great is if you could also do this with that.
Exactly.
But I resisted most of the urges to do that. I did something I rarely do, which was I actually contacted the deck builder, and was just like, I built this. It looks good. I'm interested in playing it. I have these 3 questions because I don't know. It's so hard with 1E. 2E, you pick up a deck, you play it, and there may be some combos that you're, they're thrown together for that reason, but by and large, 2E, you kind of have to play on the fly. 1E is constructed with specific purpose, and if you don't know what the purpose, where tab A goes into slot B, it may be completely foreign. You may be, 10 to 25% of your deck, you'd just be, I don't know why that's in here, but it's in here. And I had to, say, okay, how are you getting access to this card, and why is that card in here? And I'm glad I did, because there was one card that, he had a section where he had put all his free downloads, things like the Emblem of the Empire and Art of Diplomacy, things that you get out right away in the seed phase. And I was like, how is he getting this card out? And it turns out he had swapped missions in a previous iteration of this deck, and he had been playing with the mission that downloads the swapping, not setback, but the other one, transporter mix-up.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And he had forgotten to take that out of the deck, so that was another thing. And then there was another. He had James T. Kirk in his tent, and I was like, "How are you getting that?" He's like, "Oh, there should be a
Going to the top.
going to the top in there," and so I
Yep.
threw a couple of those in there. So it was nice. It was good and collaborated. I asked him. There's one card that I still hadn't got wrapped my head around. The supplant opposite.
Yep.
And I was like, I still don't see how this is going to be really worth the sleed slot. Are you sure? Did you have a good experience with it? Is there anything you would rather? I'm thinking about just throwing it in a ASP so I could get some more objectives. And he's like, well, it was all right. And I would certainly love to hear how it went if you swapped it. And I was like, well, let's again resist the urge to change things, find out how it works, try it that way, and see how it went. And it was actually really useful. A couple reasons I didn't consider until in game, such as having that plus a crossover invitation, which downloaded from free because of the mission, meant I could play 2 non-mirror people per turn if the need arose, which it did once, and it was fairly important. And then the other is that it's an extra card draw while you're playing it. So even if you're playing those guys, if you can get the chain together, which I only got 1 or 2 free reports on the day, but those 4 TOS guys, each one says, once you get the right one in play, then the next one plays for free, and that one lets the next one play for free, and so on. So you could play it, get a card draw, and then play free, play free, play free. That can be a powerful chain that doesn't take up a lot of space. So it was nice to have all of that knowledge going in instead of going in to my first game saying, okay, I'm going to lose this first game while I learn how to play my deck.
Whose deck was that?
Barry. And I don't remember how to pronounce his last name. He's James Van Elsen is his username. But Barry was very helpful. We had a nice back and forth, and I've been meaning to drop him a message to let him know how much fun I had playing his deck. And the only couple of changes I did make, I threw in an agony booth because there wasn't any in there to go with the fear will keep them in line. And that actually helped me out a couple of times. And it was nice to have the extra boost to get around. I did throw in a Yeoman Rand. He was running all 6 mirror missions.
Okay.
So I was planning to have to go to 140 every time. And the fear will keep them in line is actually a huge boost. I didn't really... I did not properly estimate. I definitely underestimated how effective that was going to be as a means for stacking up bonus points to turn the corner. Even though it was going to 140, I only needed 3 missions. But I thought Yeoman Rand would be a nice addition to get those file missions report points.
Yeah, Yeoman Rand. I always enjoyed using that, like even back right when All Good Things came out, for just a quick, immediate. It's 5 points, right? Just whenever she is.
Exactly. It's just get an extra 5 points, and that's really the trick to this deck. Is I threw in a couple of Quins because I just hate being without them, and I was very judicious in my use of them because I knew I was going to be hurting for points. I think I played one once, maybe twice, just at really key. The one thing I learned playing against Johnny, at the time I wrecked him with it. And it's a rare instance where I can say I wrecked Johnny with something, but quitting the Wall of Ships download every time, and I saw Admiral Riker out there, and so Charlie played something else, and I was like thinking if I debating quitting it, and I was like, nah, I got to sit on it, and waited for the, sure enough, Enterprise D, Wall of Ships. It's like no free future Enterprise for you.
Yeah, exactly. Because usually you use Riker, to get
Yeah,
not the ship you want. You use it to get the intermediate free ship. So you get the wall
exactly.
of ships, and then you get the future Enterprise. If you can Quinn the wall of ships, that means they don't get what they want. They get an Enterprise D, which is fine, but it's again
Yeah.
not what they were going for.
And that ended up being a huge play on my part. Charlie even said he really got that really flustered him in his play, and he made a few mistakes after that because it sort of broke his rhythm. And he had done what was actually a very cunning move. As soon as he saw our space lines, he was playing all alpha, I was playing all mirror. He did not seed the Cytherians
Yeah,
on
self-seat.
me, self-seeded it on himself, like 2 missions in, and it was literally would have been a one shot for the future Enterprise to get from there to
Yeah,
the end.
yeah.
And
He and Johnny did the same to me as well. That's a good trick. I like it.
yeah,
If it's a long space line, you use it defensively. If it's a short space line, you use it for 15 quick points, right?
yeah, and that was the thing I banked on in the end. That ended up coming back to bite me because I was trying to get a space mission, and that was Johnny's hope because I had more points, but I had all planet, and so I was trying to go get my space mission, and I was like, the nearest one to me was not enough for me to get to 140, and I had enough range to get to the last one. And I was like, that's the end of the space line. That's going to be where the Cytherians
Yep.
is,
Yep.
unless he kept it for himself. And sure enough, even though I tried to plan around it, it hit. There was I could have held some guys back for a second attempt after my first ship hit the Cytherians, but he had it's the species 8472 dilemma. So one of them would have died anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
But it ended up being a non starter because Johnny couldn't get. He's like, all right, well now I have to go do a quick space mission so I can win with less points on planet space. But he hit a couple of attempts, it milled through, but he ended up hitting my quantum incursions, and on the first time go, he just didn't have what it takes to get through.
Yeah.
So all in all, I had a really great time. That was the last thing I added. Speaking of quantum incursions, was he had a Garib in the tent
Yeah.
that he was using Doctor Not a Bricklayer to go get in the event he needed the empathy for that. And there's already a TOS
Yeah.
ASP. Gem is great for
Yeah.
that. So I was like, well, this is in the current meta, this is a great play. And she fits the deck. So I'm going to go ahead and throw her in. That was a good play, especially when I had to use my Doctor Not a Bricklayer against Johnny's Horta.
Right.
So it was nice to have
Yeah.
the backup empathy. But it was a really fun deck. It was really taking charge to get those objectives out really fast, and the Imperial Intimidation, the extra engine for a card draw, um, uh, uh, examining what's the learning from history, alternate history, study alternate history, something like that. Objective
Uh.
where you stop 2 people to draw cards.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, but those were good, solid. Protect the timeline, 2 free plays, three card draws.
Study divergent history.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it was a really solid deck. It was really fun to play. It's got the TOS flavor. So even though I really like having a station around a dial a skill, there was still a small bit of that with supplant opposite and the equipment. So it was rare that I never. It's one of the first tournaments in a while I can remember not getting at least one TPK, whole away team dying or a ship blowing up. So
Oh. Okay.
that was a positive experience. Yay! I didn't
Nice.
throw my crew away. I didn't throw away my shot.
Well, would so. I mean, looking back, I'm sure you'll post the deck list eventually. But is there are there any of the major changes that you were thinking about doing that you would go back and try to rebuild, renew, redo?
I I almost want to just play it as is. I was trying to go through and see if there was anything that I didn't need or anything that I would have added. I would like to try it just for fun with the Defiant. That would be really cool. I just added my deck. Barry Winchell
Yeah.
is the original deck owner before I didn't make that many changes, actually. I did shuffle some things around with it in the tent just to get better probes. I took the equipment out of the tent and put it in the deck and moved a couple of incidents into the tent so that you'd be a better chance of getting the Intimidate probe correctly. But in general, it was a really solid deck. I did use my own dilemmas. That's one of the most time-consuming things about net decking.
It's trying to figure out what their combos were.
Is just sit down and sometimes I like it. I like to just it's like a puzzle. It's like, okay, how do these go together? What were they thinking here? And then how did it work? But I looked at them long enough to say, okay, I don't think any of these are crucial to the deck strategy. Aside from the fact that he seemed to be running a lot of delay tactics. There's like 2 lack of preps and 2 Edo probes, and it's higher the fewer. So, but I thought the deck was pretty solidly quick on its own, and I really like my dilemma combos, and so I just stuck with what I liked. And
yeah, and it's faster to put your deck together between rounds if you know where the combos go, right?
Exactly.
Or it's easier to rebuild combos mid game if all of a sudden your opponent's playing with 4 and 2 or 5 and 1 or something weird. If you know what all the dilemmas are and what the combos are.
Right. Exactly. And a better variety of shuffling, and I still have. I mean, my ship killer combo from the last time I played still killed a ship, so I didn't see a reason not to take that out.
Sure.
Or not to leave that in, rather. So, yeah, and there's not really. I still don't have a reason not to play 2 quantum incursions. That's seems like a no-brainer. I mean,
yeah.
People are preparing a lot more for it now. I've noticed, I mean, the decks I'm looking at and people I'm playing against, but it's still almost always a first turn stop. First time you encounter it. I did the same thing. I actually, the first time I hit one, it was like, okay, there it is. It's always the last thing. Most people put it the last in the combo, and then I went down the list and was like, okay, I've got all but one thing. I don't have my empathy yet. And so I actually broke into 2 teams that could do 5 out of 6 and hammered against it. But
Yeah.
that was my whole turn.
Yeah, sure.
I had to stop and concentrate, all of my resources on getting through it. So it's still really solid.
Did you have any way of getting out of the mirror quadrant with the Tantalus field?
Nope.
So you just got it, and if anybody came to you, you plan on using it, but otherwise.
Yeah, I think it was for KCA purposes.
Okay.
That was the one thing that I bristled against. And I get wanting to not have cards in your tent or not have cards in your deck, but using it was clearly set up to use the ISS Enterprise download during the seed phase, get Kirk, get the Tantalus Field and the communicator out, and I know he wanted to have the captain out so he could start taking charge right away.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, especially with the bonuses, it's so good to have Scotty out, and he was always, I would always take a turn or 2 when I was playing Mirror to hopefully draw one or the other and then download who I was missing, because I really like having both of those guys out. And so sometimes I didn't get Scotty out and I was really sad.
But all +2 is pretty good.
Yeah, well, how about attributes all +4?
Oh,
because
right.
Imperial Intimidation doubles skill bonuses to the flagship. Yeah, and having 2 Scotties, since I can play the Mirror Universe version and the Standard Universe version, it's insane.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Wow, that is really good. All right, I hadn't considered all that. All that adds up pretty good, pretty much a lot.
Yeah. All you need is you have Scotty on the Enterprise and a Constitution, and that's maxes out your point bonus for Fear Will Keep Them in Line.
So your range is up to 14?
Yeah.
Those two? Wow.
Plus, you're getting a bonus from Fear Will Keep Them in Line. If you have an Agony Booth, you're getting a bonus from Reap All the Glory if you've done one of those, which I had in every game. You're getting a bonus from Mind Lithium if you've done that, which was usually one of my early picks. So, especially with having a short space line, I would really be interested to see how this deck runs against a KCA deck or a mirror match, another Terran Empire, where you're all in the mirror quadrant, because then things will get interesting. But left to its own devices in its own quadrant, this is a really, I did well, and I'm not a terribly good pilot, but I piloted this thing to victory, and especially in the hands of somebody who knows what they're doing, I can imagine it being very, very solid.
I just see the Tantalus field as such an unbalancing thing that I wouldn't want to be anywhere near it. I mean, I've played against decks where the idea is you're doing whatever you want, but also, the Mirror Enterprise comes out, Kirk comes out, the Tantalus field comes out, and then it just gets wormholed to wherever your opponent is, and it's one seed card and maybe a card in the deck plus another seed card to the second wormhole or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you're off and killing people. And granted, unless you buff it up like you did, it's a small ship that can be battled. But, killing people at will is really good.
Yeah. And that is a great advantage, too, doing what he did and start with Kirk, which I did all tournament because I was trying to stay true to the spirit of the deck. And, as soon as you see that come out, it's, 3 steps back.
Yep.
You're like, okay, right. Okay, well, I know I don't want to be where you are. And so it's a great deterrent, especially because the Enterprise is so crucial to your deck. A lot of the things we talked about, study divergent history, Imperial Intimidation, all of those things seed on the Enterprise. So if the Enterprise goes away, so do those objectives. So having the Tantalus field and the Scotties beefing it up was huge as far as a deterrent to keep people away from it. And I think he even planned on that. It opens with the Battle Bridge deck, so you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
But it's all evasive maneuvers.
I see that.
It's please don't blow up my flagship.
Right. I don't see Habit disappearing here. Were you not using that as another draw engine?
I had forgotten that exists. Because that would be really good now that you mention it.
I mean, just another card draw. However, it could burn through your deck if you don't have any recursion planning. Oh, there's a regenerate in here.
There is a regenerate in there, and I never needed it. So having something like that would be really good. Was that like pitch 3 and play 1 or something?
Once you have a few mirror Terran Empire people out, it doesn't pitch 1 anymore or 3 anymore. It only pitches 1.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Yeah, that would be really good in that deck. You'd have to make room for it.
It's an event. It seeds, and I noticed you were down to, you had 18 seed cards, or 18 dilemmas. Seeds are placed on table. End of turn, discard the top 3 cards of your deck, or only 1 if you have 3 AU Terran Empire personnel in play. Then draw a card. Yeah. So pretty much at the end of the turn, you pitch a card and you draw a card.
Yeah.
I'm guessing every game you had at least 3 Terran Empire pass people out on the first turn.
Definitely. I also don't know that I needed. I don't know. Yeah, I was actually doing pretty okay most of the time, card draw wise. It would be nice to have a backup because I know early on, and Charlie made a joke about that. It's like I had to fight my urge to be like, I've got 9 people, let's go. Except that I need 2 of those people to draw a card, and I need 2 more of those people to draw a card, and I need at least 1 more person to staff my ship at a planet, non-homeworld, unsolved mission, so I can probe, and hopefully that guy is Scotty, so that he is still buffing up my ship. And so I have less than half of the people than I think I'd have, as far as actually sending them out and attempting. So it would be nice to have something in the back pocket. So if I do attempt with people and I don't have enough to study divergent history, I would be able to still get at least one extra card draw that turn.
Yeah. How many times did you draw a bad probe for Imperial Intimidation?
Never.
Yeah.
Well, there was only one
Couple of
AU.
doorways.
There was a couple of doorways. I do wish I had had a third ready room door.
Really?
Yes, I
Or Spock?
or find a room for a to seed a what's it called? Make it so that I can go get it, because I don't think I got my door. I think I only saw Captain's Order in one game,
No.
and
Oh, you've got a lot of them. Captain's log to find dedication plaque, lower decks, mission debriefing.
yeah, and mission debriefing was the one I wanted most, because I really wanted to be able to slow down my opponent attempting. The others without interaction, not as big a deal. Lower decks is all right. There's actually a healthy number of previously. Mirror Quadrant was almost exclusively uniques, like that when Theta, what's his name, came out, that downloads lower decks came out. It's like, oh, that's so cool, he downloads lower decks. And I was like, wait, there's only like 3 people that are universal. I don't care. But now that each subsection is building up a stable of enough people to have its own flavor, they're starting to have enough universal people to be worthwhile
It's
having
funny,
that in there.
I'm looking at the stats for at least Barry's deck, and under traits, universal versus unique is not something that's listed there. That's interesting. That'd be nice to have.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I am disappointed that I didn't get a chance to play you, because we would have had we would have only played to 100 points, because I, like you, was not playing any Alpha Quadrant missions.
So were you in the Gamma or were you in the Delta?
I was in the Delta Quadrant. So I had, it was funny, I was in the chat room on maybe Saturday morning, early, before I had to leave for, kids' baseball and stuff. And I was chatting with Alan and somebody else. I'm like, man, I kind of want to play Terran Empire, because, Starfleet Terran Empire, because that's, what I've been working on. I spent all this time. I also kind of wanted to play a mission specialist deck that it's one I've been wanting to play for a while, that does the new mission from Star Trek 50. Not Star Trek 50. The other anniversary, the 20th anniversary collection, the investigate anti-time eruption. That 50-point mission.
Oh wow!
That requires 12 skills, but engineer times 3, leadership times 3, astrophysics times 3, physics times 3. That's a lot of mission specialist points if you get the right guys out, right?
Sure.
And now there's no more in the zone, so it's pretty much solve this and then anything, right? What I was thinking about doing was something from the same set, the same that we've just been talking about. I think I want to say it's Through the Looking Glass. That mission, that's Seek Illicit Relic. So this is what I was going to do first. Seek Illicit Relic is a 20-point planet mission. Dead end here is nullified. So you put any artifact you want there, right? You go do that. You get your illicit relic, because it can't be dead ended. You can put all the dilemmas you want there, but
right.
I would go there first, try to get my artifact, and then go do that space mission. Now I've got 20 points, and potentially I'm going to solve this mission for 80 points. There's 100 points, planet space, and you're done, right? There were at least 2 other decks I wanted to play, and I did what I have done in the past. I said, well, how would I play something completely different? Let's look around and see if I can find a Kazon deck, because I've never played Kazon before.
Never ever?
Never, ever.
Wow.
Okay, I take that back. Before the continuing committee era, I played a Kazon Klingon deck once. That I want to say used the issue is patriotism to make you fight me at Kronos, so I could download everybody everywhere, and yeah, that was silly. But I went around looking for Kazon decks, and I found that Ken had posted one from back in this is either December 4th, so just last month, and it's called Quick and Simple Kazon Solver. And I thought
Ding ding ding
that's
ding ding.
exactly what I want. That has all the that has all the traits I need. Quick, yes. Simple, yes. Solver, perfect. Kazon, everything. So I copied it.
Checklist complete.
Checklist complete. I copied it. I didn't even change the typo in the name because then you could tell it's from Ken. Uh,
Indeed.
I printed it out, cut it up, sleeved it up, and headed down. And it was as advertised. You play cards quickly, you go solve missions. By the time you've solved your second mission, I think, you've got enough people out that you're just rolling. There are by the second game, I had figured out what missions you're supposed to solve, right?
Sure.
Because you got to get to 140. There's no way to the Alpha Quadrant, and there's really only 2 bonus point things that I found. The first is the geology, process ore mining. You get 1 point a turn, pretty much.
Okay.
So that's 5 points. And the other is assigned mission specialist. There's 1 mission specialist that has computer skill. What's his name? Where is it here? Narek. Narek has computer skill for one of the missions, so that's 5 extra points. So that's 10 bonus points to go with 3 45-point missions, I think. 2 45-point missions, that's 90.
Wow.
10 bonus points for 100, and then a 40-point mission for 140. So it's still a 3-mission win deck, but everything kind of has to fall into place. There are a ton of cards in the tent that as I started my first game, I had no idea. Like you said, I had no idea how you would get them.
Sure.
But true enough, I finally drew into going to the top, which gets Navarre. She has leadership ×2. All right. The defend homeworld gets Pank, and Pank gets Hajar there. There's 1 support personnel. He lives in the tent. And there's Dr. Tulliker Moore, and he's who you get with your space-time portal. No, sorry, your temporal micro wormhole.
Right.
And Kulla comes out from leader of the sect. Sullen is geology ×2, so you use I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer, to get that out. And the rest are just some equipment and just random things, random tools. So there are a ton of what I like the best is Sullen, the geology guy, Hajar, Pank's download, and Navarre all come out on the opponent's turn and not your turn. Because they're either special downloads or they come out via interrupt.
That's nice.
I can still download 2 people a turn pretty much. Those over the first 3 turns, I'm getting guys on my turn, I'm getting guys on your turn. Same with leader of the sect, right? It says at the start of any player's turn, if you don't have a Maj in play, you can get it. So even if I go first, at the first game, I'm hoping I go second, because then I can download my Maj on your turn, and on my turn, I can download somebody else. Well,
Wow.
there are enough free plays that in my game, I had enough people to play for free via Home Away from Home, or a free Ocampa, or I think it was it, that I played my guys, or maybe I played a card play for Kivas Faja or something, that on your turn I would download the Mosh, and then on my turn I'd play a case on Distant for free. So that worked really well. I like the getting around the rule by using cards that download on the opponent's turn. That was kind of nice.
Yeah, that's still once every turn.
Yeah. In fact, the second game, I think I had it set up perfectly. I went second, so I was able to download a Maj on my. No, I'm lying. I downloaded I didn't download it. I downloaded a random card on my turn. Maybe my security or something. I flew my ship over to where I had the processor, and I beamed everybody down. So on my opponent's turn, I played the Doctor Not a Bricklayer and downloaded the geology person to the planet. So at the start of my next turn, I could start right away, pitching a card, getting a point, drawing 2 cards.
Wow.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Um, there are like 13 or so random Kazon guys. Most of them report for free to Kala. The rest are staff, so they report for free to Home Away from Home. There were 2 copies of Kess to report for free, Tanis. So between Kess and Tanis, I had a pretty good shot of getting past the doorway dilemma, uh, the one that you were talking about earlier. There's a Dr.
Oh,
McCoy,
yeah.
Quantum
Quantum
Incursions.
incursions.
Yeah, there's a Dr. McCoy just for his AU icon and for his ability to kill any medical dilemma, or to get I'm a Dr. Nada if you really need to get your geology.
Yep.
There's a Chakotay for throwing down on Ancestral Vision. So between Ancestral Vision, ore process mining, and a couple of Kibis Vajra collectors, I pretty much had cards in my hand most turns. I did, I'm not a big fan of Kibis. What with the mirror,
I was just gonna say, did anybody mirror your
uh, I
collector?
I played Kibis on Charlie when he had no cue the ref out. That was more just by design, by luck, because I had one in my hand and he didn't. Um, but I played it against Johnny, and I think I fueled his go a little bit. The idea, the idea that I saw this originally played of is if you can get one to fire off in the first turn, you can play it before your opponent flips his ref card, so you don't get to download your mirror stuff
Yeah.
because your card plays the first thing of the turn. Yeah, that never happened. I never had one in my opening hand, but no, I still used it for a couple of card plays. It's pretty much all the people play for free. Um, and there's not a
Yeah, and
lot
if
of other
everybody,
cards in the deck that require card plays.
yeah, if everybody plays for free, then use your card plays for events and chips and get rolling.
No, no ships. It starts with Voyager, and there were no other ships in the deck.
Wow,
Yeah, it was a
that's
little rough,
ballsy.
but there was one time I. So I'm attempting against Johnny. I've got a pretty big crew out. I knew I couldn't pass the cloud, but I had McCoy. So who cares, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
no, sorry. He stopped McCoy with his choose 2 people to be stopped dilemma, or something. Yeah, I think that's what it was. He chose McCoy to be stopped, and I kept going. Uh, I was going to use Kess's special download of the gift,
Yep.
except I had played everything in my hand, so I had no cards in hand. So I went to go use a special download, and he said, "All right, I'll go get the stasis field. So you got to put a card from hand on this before you use a special download." And I said, "Oh,
Oh.
that's not good." And I can never remember how that works. If the timing works such that
Yeah.
you get the first one, or you can only get the second one. I can't remember.
No, it's as soon as you do something that triggers the download, he can go get it.
Right.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I played. Yeah, I thought I could get away with Kess's download of the gift. I did not, so I was stuck there. Now I've got a ship that's been damaged. It's my only ship, but I've got a couple of space time. I've got a temporal micro wormhole to download space time portal. So I just flew back to the outpost, beat everybody off, picked up the ship, and next turn I played the ship again, and it was fully repaired and ready to go.
Ah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That works once.
that works once. It works once. It can work more than once if you've been saving your nanoprobe resuscitations to grab important things back, which I did occasionally. There were a couple of nanoprobes, but there's no way to play. I was looking for like a 7 of 9, so you can play those guys for free that you get back.
Oh yeah.
But there wasn't anything, so just get the important stuff back, and that worked out pretty well. I played against Johnny, who was playing. Uh, Johnny was playing
DS9.
DS9, and I got off to a slow start, and he got off to a slow start. But once this Kazon deck gets rolling, I was attempting with not caring and attempting with like 17 people, and there was really, I mean, nothing that could stop them. Uh,
Freaking Delta, man.
They've got a lot of people with a lot of skills, and the coverage. Ken did an excellent job with the skill coverage. There was only once or twice where I was looking at my discard pile, lamenting the fact that, oh, yeah, there's an astrophysics guy in my discard pile. I probably should have played him because I need 2 astrophysics to get things past the cloud. Maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I should have thrown away something I really don't need instead of that. The skill spread was nice. It was fast. And I made a few mistakes, and I was still able to get to 140 in both games against Charlie and Johnny, and eke them out. I think the game against Johnny, had I probably still had another turn or two on him when the game was over, just because the dilemmas in this deck are just medical drain, and one of his medical died, and his kit went away, and he was left with a bunch of engineers with no kit and didn't have the medical or nurse to get past. Was it the medical crisis? So he was kind of locked out there. And Charlie, on the other hand, also self-seeded a Cytherians. He hit my dead end early on and went and solved another mission, and he was going to be through it and walking back over to waltz through the last mission for the win. But I got him by a turn. So that was a closer game, but in the end, I still got to 140 before you did. I would have had to do another mission like I had to do against Charlie because I didn't do missions in the right order against Johnny. However, Johnny was playing with Kobayashi Maru scenario, which adds computer skill as a mission requirement. And since I had my mission specialist, he gave me an extra 5 points. So I was at 140 because of a gift. So that worked out well.
Wow. Yeah. As I recall, Charlie hit us both for fairly sizable higher the fewer.
Yes, I did. That was like a 17-point higher the fewer. However, I was at 135 and I was doing a 45-point mission, so I was like, don't care.
It's like, oh, I scored 10 points. Yay.
Yeah, I scored 25 points. I don't care. That was enough. I don't think I used McCoy all day to cancel Dilemma because he was being stopped left and right by everything. But that meant everyone else was able to skate through and overcome everything. But yeah, it was solid deck. I don't know what I would change. I probably would try to play it a little bit smarter. I still don't know about Kivas Fajo. There's got to be something better for a card draw in there. I would almost rather play. There are 5 Kivases in there. I think I'd almost rather play a pair of surprise parties and a pair of travelers or something. Just for another way of drawing cards that's not giving a bonus to my opponent.
Well, the Traveler is going to give you a bonus to your opponent too.
Oh yeah, you're right. I don't want to think about that. I suppose it could do.
But I know what you
mean. But
I mean, at least the surprise party is a one-time shot.
Yeah. I maybe devoting one more resource to a duck blind, since you're already leaving people across planets anyway. Why not one more?
Sure. Does that work? I thought that only worked on an Alpha Quadrant mission.
Oh, geez, I don't know.
I could be wrong.
Duck Blind says Alpha Quadrant Planet mission. Huh. Well, I guess that's why you have.
You could throw in what was the Chakotay one? Meditation?
No, I've already got Ancestral Vision.
Oh, Ancestral Vision. That's it.
Yeah. Just need something else. It might be. I wonder if it would be worthwhile, because there's at least 1 or 2 missions that are in here that I should not do, because they're 40 points, and I accidentally did them both times. Where you should do just the 45-point guys to get your bonus points. I wonder if swapping one of those out for an Alpha Quadrant mission, so that you have the opportunity to go to an Alpha. This deck's too focused. I don't want to second guess anything. Yeah. No, I'll maybe take out Remember the Alamo, only because I I drew it. I'm looking at it like this is just such a jerk card. Just kill a random security guy.
Well, it's the aforementioned duck blind.
Just to kill Darian Wallace.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's totally what it's for.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. All right. Yeah, that would be rough. That should do something with Ducat. All right. Anyway. Uh,
Wow. Yeah.
all right. So anyway, I had a good time. I'm disappointed that I didn't get to play you, for the title match. But you had to leave early, and
Yeah.
we
That
were
was a
we didn't even get to play triples. But at least we got to play. I'm glad I made it down in plenty of time to play. I got to play against Johnny and Charlie, so that was fun. It was a good day. Miss JD, what happened to JD?
Yeah, we don't know. I never heard back. He was all gung ho about about playing, but I mean, he's got a newborn too. So I the only thing that surprises me is that he didn't say anything about not coming, because
Yeah.
he's usually pretty good about dropping is understandable, but he's usually pretty good about saying something. But I'm sure he had a good reason. Maybe he had a duty call. He was on a duty call.
All right. Well, in the end, I have now played Kazon, so I can cross that off my list. I don't have to play Kazon again.
And you'll be happy to know.
Yeah.
I just got a nightly achievement email while we were discussing this, and it doesn't actually go off right at 9 anymore. It's somewhere between 9 and 9:30. So Sir Dan has achieved Kazon player. Sir Dan achieved Can't Do This in 2E, and Sir Dan earned the title Trailblazer.
Nice. All right. One more thing to check off the list. Brilliant. God, I wish I would have been there for the first round.
So you get Kazon win and never have to play it again.
Precisely. But since I printed this deck out, right, day of, I used white border cards for backers and penny sleeves. This deck is going into the box of test deck because it is fast. It is difficult to pass the dilemmas on, and I'm going to use this to test against decks for quite a while because it was pretty good.
If you printed the whole thing without having to pull anything, you could just leave it together, and yeah, that's a good idea.
Yep. Excellent. Very good. Huzzah achievements. All right. Very good. Anything else we want to talk about? We promised to talk about Rogue One last week, and then this week, and now I'm thinking next week, since we actually had a tournament. We
had to preempt for an actual tournament. But I will actually be actually I might be back in town by then. I'm going to be traveling next weekend, but we're supposed to be flying back Monday morning, so I should be back in time to do a tournament report. We will be going to Unity Days, which is a convention for the 100 in Vancouver. So I don't know how Star Trek related that will be, but I can give a brief report on that. And then we can also discuss the aforementioned and much delayed Rogue One.
It is likely to be delayed yet and again because I'm going to be traveling for work next week, so I don't think I'm getting back. I don't think I'm going to be in a place where I can record, so why don't we table it? Maybe while I'm away, I'll have a full week of opportunities. Maybe I'll go see Rogue One again.
All right, and then it'll be fresh on the brain.
Precisely.
All right, well, that sounds like a plan. So no show next week, show in 2 weeks. We had a great time. Thanks to everybody who came out to the tournament. Thanks, Charlie and Johnny, for coming out for the whole thing. Matt for filling in. JD, I hope everything's going okay. And thanks to Ken and to Barry for building our decks for us so that we could come out and go undefeated.
Hooray, public decks.
But that's all the intelligence we have for this week. I am Sir Rogue.
And I am Sir Dan.
And I will remind you all to expand your power in the Mirror Quadrant.
And I will commit to building my own deck next time to end.